the top of the Empire State Building.
Z100, New York.
Z100, New York's #1 hit music station. I'm Josh Martinez with the Superstar crossover with our guest, TNA Wrestling Jefe. That's what I'm going to call you, El Jefe.
Perfect.
Carlos Silva, what's going on, man?
How you doing, Josh? Good to see you.
Likewise, big event, July 20th, UBS Arena. I believe it's going to be TNA's, one of their biggest shows ever. Any nerves going into a building of that size?
I don't know if it's nerves based on the building. I think we have nerves with every event. You wanna perform. You wanna, the wrestlers have worked hard. Or the team has worked hard. I mean, look, it's New York City, so you always have nerves coming to New York City. It's the big show. The new arena, home of the Islanders, brand new. John Ledecky and the ownership group there have been amazing to us, and we're just excited to be the biggest show ever for TNA, and we hope it is going to be the biggest show ever for TNA here in New York City.
So a little bit about you. I mentioned off air that I've known your name for a while. You've been kind of the combat sports since before COVID. I feel like COVID's been this weird stamp of time where it's like BC and like AC or whatever, before COVID, after COVID. So what made you want to get back into kind of the sports entertainment side of things?
Well, I never really left sports. I mean, been sports media my whole career, going way back, running television networks like Universal Sports, running World Series of Fighting and being part of the creation of Professional Fighters League when I sold World Series of Fighting was great. Ran some other leagues like World Team Tennis, and built up a portfolio of these leagues. I got a call. I knew the Anthem folks. Anthem is our parent company that owns TNA Wrestling. I knew them because back from the World Series of Fighting days, we distributed our content in Canada on the Fight Network. And Fight Network's one of the properties that I run under the Anthem Sports portfolio, and so sort of knew them. They had gone and acquired TNA Wrestling back in, I think it was around 18, and so felt this groundswell over this last sort of year or two with everything that was happening with WWE, with the formation of TKO, knew and understood that pretty well, being sort of in and around the industry. So I thought there was a great opportunity to take TNA and continue to build it and really turn it into a premier organization, which I think we've begun to do over the last 6 months, and I think we continue to climb. And I think Slammiversary ends up being sort of that tipping point for us as we come to the big show in New York City.
So timeline-wise, when did you come over to TNA?
I joined TNA at the very end of December. Okay. So really the beginning of January, and it's been a great 6-7 months building the team and building the property.
So up to that point, I'm assuming that the deal with WWE was kind of already in the making, but you probably helped kind of end it. With your experience, how important was your personal experience crucial to getting that deal into the end zone, if you will?
I think some of the relationships that the management had at Anthem as well as mine ended up being critical in putting the deal together, getting it done, kicking it over the line, if you will. And then I think in the last sort of 90 days, the partnership and the way that we've approached the partnership on both sides has really helped to accelerate the way that we exchange wrestlers, the way we look at storylines, just really the way we work together, not just on the WWE side. If you look at Royal Rumble or Wrestlemania and how exciting that was for Joe Hendry and the TNA brand, but then you also look at what we're doing with NXT on a weekly basis. Obviously, with Trick Williams now holding the TNA belt, a lot of fans understanding and trying to understand what's going on here, which is absolutely great. But then we've also done some stuff with AAA, as AAA has gotten pulled into the WWE family at WrestleMania. With that announcement, we've been down in Mexico and we've brought some wrestlers down there, and I was down there at Triple Mania, and Moose defended the X Division belt down there, and it was just great. The crowds down in Mexico were great. So I think across the board, the way that we've been ebbing and flowing with the wrestlers up and down and sideways it's been really great.
So I think as a fan, I mean, I remember my 8th grade graduation gift. I asked my mom to order the first TNA pay-per-view event because it was weekly at the time, and that's been, I don't want to age myself, but a long time. When it comes to TNA as a whole, there's been a lot of ups and downs through multiple decades now that they've been out and national TV deals across various networks. What is the most important, I would say, business aspect that you bring to TNA that maybe they haven't had in the past?
Yeah, I think you raise a good point. I mean, 23 years TNA's been around. I mean, that's a foundational major league wrestling property.
At one point, number 2 in the country.
And I think it's important that there is this distinction between sort of the major leagues with WWE, NXT, AEW, and TNA. I think, look, I've been in and around the sports and media business my whole career, been on the biggest platforms, whether it's big NFL deals, whether it's big Olympic deals, whether, halftime shows at the Super Bowl, running a NASCAR team. I mean, every major property we've been in and around over these last 25 years. And I think just bringing that level of sort of operational and professionalism to what is such a great foundational fan base around TNA, but really just looking at the very practical day-to-day block and tackling around running a sports and media and entertainment business, from sponsorship to filling up venues to distribution deals, and to just creating this engine that helps a property to grow. We talk about it all the time with the team. There's really not one thing that makes a property successful. It's all of these little things every single day. And look, we've had some great shows this year. They don't matter in a way. What matters is Slammiversary next. Like it's like an athlete that steps up to the plate, or a quarterback that's got the 2-minute drill. I mean, if they don't make that one work, everyone forgets about the win from the prior week. It's very simple. We take that same sort of sporting approach. The foundation's awesome. It's great. But how do we win the next time? And how do we win the next? And keep building it a little bit. And I think if you look at these last 6 months, sort of every 30 days, every 60 days, we've had another win. And so it's the next win is going to be Slammiversary. Hopefully it's going to be our biggest show ever on the biggest stage ever. And then we'll look, to the fall, and we're going to some new markets in Rhode Island and Edmonton, Minneapolis, and then, Bound for Glory will happen, and we'll start to, reshape then how do we go into 2026. And so I think thinking through that sort of season of sport along with the wrestling season and the storylines is I hope what I'm bringing to the organization to help.
It's funny because I feel like a lot of companies are moving away from traveling more, because since COVID, probably a lot of companies, and makes sense, right, from a financial standpoint, it almost feels like you guys are moving more, rather like you guys are doing the opposite, where you guys are going to more cities and you're traveling a little more. What's kind of the strategy behind it? Is it as simple as, we haven't been to that city, we're going to go?
No, it's definitely not that simple. I mean, I think maybe sometimes event organizations sort of take a dart and they throw the dart at the dartboard and say, "Oh, that would be a great city." I think we've looked at the cities around, as I sort of think about the major sporting cities in America right now, because I think America's where we start. We have done a couple of great shows in Canada as well, but there's a reason why we went to LA. There's a reason that we're in New York. There's also a reason why we're in sort of that next level market. We were just in Pittsburgh and had a great show. We were out in Arizona and Scottsdale, another great market. And by the way, like all of those markets, they're NFL markets, they're NHL markets, they're MLB markets, and there's a reason. They bring a certain feeling around the sports fan and the fandom that we want to also bring to TNA. Are we traveling a little more? Maybe we've made sure that we sort of want to build that brand, but I think as we transition to hopefully going live more, which we've started to do this year, there will be a time where you have to find some home bases. I mean, you can't travel 52 weeks a year, and you need a place to be 1, 2, 3, 4 months a year. And so we're already looking at those kinds of locations for 2026 as we think about, now thinking about 2026, which I think, again, is just part of being operational, be smart and getting ahead of where you have to be in the marketplace for your sports and entertainment property.
Not to get too nerdy and too into the weeds a little bit, but so Anthem Sports Group owns obviously TNA and also Access TV, which is a channel you guys are on, right?
Sort of.
Okay.
So Anthem Sports and Entertainment is split into two properties, two divisions, Anthem Entertainment and Anthem Sports. Andy Schoen, longtime entertainment executive, runs our entertainment division, and Access TV is in that division. And then on the sports side, I've got TNA Wrestling, Invicta MMA, Women's MMA, and Fight Network, as well as another network called Game Plus. And so we all work together, obviously under one umbrella, but that's how the division of entertainment and sports is set up.
Could you, because TV rights deals, especially for sports and live sports, is the largest it's ever been. Could you guys get a TV deal elsewhere, or is it part of this agreement with Access, like, hey, you guys are ours, so stay on Access TV?
I think that's the way it's been, and as we built up Anthem Sports Entertainment under sort of an owned and operated, how do we distribute across each of them? That's why we're on Access, but now the whole organization is sort of saying TNA's gotten even bigger, and so now we start to look for where else we should put TNA, and so we're deep into that process. We partnered with CAA, one of the top firm in the world around distributions and media deals, and we're working on that actively, and hope as we get through the summer and into the early fall that we'll have a new distribution deal. And so that's very much a key piece of what I'm working on.
As you said that, I had to look at the bottom right of the screen to look at the date. That's like 2-3 months away.
Sure.
Wow. Okay. Look at you. You just come on in and you're like, you know what? First day, because it takes some time to get any sort of TV deal done. This isn't something that's like over 2 lunch meetings. You guys are good. So, damn, that's really impressive.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting moment too, and in the media side, as you know, I mean, so much unbundling and changing. I think it's maybe the biggest change since around the 2000s or even 2003 when things like TiVo and recording and DVR sort of hit the market, and so I think in that creates this great opportunity. I mean, all the traditional cable guys are trying to understand how they leverage the digital space, and then all the digital guys are trying to understand how they become cable networks. And so it's this mashup that I think creates opportunities for properties like TNA and Invicta and the other properties that we have. So
what has been the most exciting thing for you personally? Like starting at Q4 or Q1 technically, what has been the most exciting aspect for you taking over TNA Wrestling?
I think for me, I mean, not being a lifelong wrestling person, wrestling fan, not, being maybe more of a casual fan, but being a fan of sports and sports entertainment my whole life and my whole career. For me, it's been the fans. I mean, it's just, I can't really describe the joy that I get from seeing how happy the fans are and how good and excited the fandom is in and around pro wrestling. And so for someone that's tried to build properties my whole career, fill up venues, been at big events, whether it's the Super Bowl or the opening ceremony of the Olympics, seeing thousands and thousands of excited fans waiting outside for the doors to open so that they can see their favorite wrestlers, to sign up for meet and greets, to buy a T-shirt or a hat. It's something that I haven't seen really, I think, in my whole sporting and entertainment career. And so it just makes me happy to see it. And so it's been fun.
So were you at WrestleMania physically at the stadium? So you were at Allegiant Stadium. Okay. So let's try to paint this picture. Super Bowl happens in these football stadiums. WrestleMania sells more tickets because of the staging, so you get more people actually onto the field. Your performer, Joe Hendry, his music hits. It's a surprise for everyone in the building. What is that immediate reaction for you sitting there realizing, Holy shit. I think the loudest ovation is for this guy who I am working with on a daily basis.
It was like goosebumps. I mean, look, I've been lucky that in my career I've been in and around a lot of big events. I mean, I helped produce Dave Matthews' Band in the Park here on the Great Lawn in 2003 or 4.
Wow.
In front of 100,000 people, went out onto the stage. This was bigger than that. I mean, when Joe came out, the level of surprise when the song hit and everyone started clapping and everyone started waving their arms in front of 75,000, 8,000, whatever, Allegiant Stadium. It was insane. It was really insane, and it was great to see him hold the belt up. It was great for him to wrestle, to represent TNA like that, and it was great the way the fans reacted to the TNA World Champion there in the ring. So it was a great moment.
So when you get that call or that text of like, hey, it's confirmed, Joe Hendry is going to be Randy Orton's opponent at WrestleMania, what's that initial excitement level for you as a person, seeing what Joe Hendry has done up to that point, doing the research, realizing what he's done in years past, just the human element, not even the business side of like, damn, this is going to be a great look for TNA. What's that like for you?
No, I think you just, you kind of do this and you're just like, wow, like I can't believe this is happening for him. And look, he's a great guy. He's a hard worker. Having been around athletes and performers my whole career too, it's been nice to get to know them and what happens in our locker room and how much everyone cares. I remember telling everyone after it happened that everyone should celebrate with Joe because Joe was there with the TNA belt because of everything that everyone's done for the last 23 years. It all kind of comes together. And so, on a personal level, you're just thankful that you can be a part of, those special moments. And I hope, 10 years from now, we'll sit and I'll tell that story to someone because it was pretty insane being there.
So I think anyone who wants to be a pro wrestler dreams of the WWE. Anybody who's in any sort of mixed martial arts probably dreams of UFC. Those are like the two top brands to the point where it's almost like Kleenex, right? Where it's like people say, like my mom's guilty. She'll say instead of like wrestling, she'll say WWE. The amount of people that say UFC instead of MMA infuriates me personally. But obviously you'll have people that go from TNA and they'll leave and they'll go to WWE, and understandably so. You're a human being. You get it. What's that like when that starts to begin to happen?
Yeah, I think there's two sides to it. I mean, there's the personal and the growth story that you want to support around the wrestler or the athlete, and then there's the business side and how and you have to balance the two. It's going to continue to happen. The partnership is strong. We want to support wrestlers if they're going to get called up. Everyone wants to, get the left-hander to come out of the bullpen at the big moment. It's just it's just part of sporting, the sporting landscape. And so we'll continue to celebrate that. And I think we'll be able to celebrate it in both directions. I also think you'll see when that happens, if they go to NXT or a TNA or goes to NXT or goes to WWE, they're also going to come back and they'll still be part of TNA, maybe on coming back as a WWE NXTer as well. And so, look, we've had some, small and interesting moments too around when we were down at one of the shows. One of the big moments that came up during the NXT show the other day when we were down in Tampa was this great open that was put together around the history of TNA, and it was voiced by AJ Styles, and it was insanely cool because of that mashup. And I think we're going to continue to see that happen. So it feels good. You're right. I mean, if you play football, you want to get to the NFL. If you're a wrestler, you want to get to WWE. If you're a MMA athlete, you want to get to the UFC. I'm proud that I helped get some of our athletes on the MMA side to the UFC too. I mean, if you didn't see Kayla Harrison winning the world championship a couple of weeks ago, I signed Kayla to her first deal in World Series of Fighting back in 2018, and we created a weight class for her to cross over from judo into MMA at the beginning. He's like very proud that when I saw her hold up the belt and just, I mean, it was great. It was a great feeling. And so we'll continue to celebrate that on the TNA side, along with our partners with WWE and NXT for sure. Shifting
gears a little bit for Invicta. Do you think that Invicta gets the credit it deserves?
I don't. I think Shannon doing what she's done over the last 10, 12 years with Invicta, really building a women's MMA brand before it was cool to have a women's sporting brand like it is now, or like it's been for the last few years. I don't think she's gotten as much credit. I think it's all part of how we're trying to reimagine Invicta. You know, Shannon and I talk every day, every other day about where we go next. How do we continue to build it? How do we look at a bigger season for Invicta? How do we bring some consistency to Invicta? And so we're working on all those things because she's had every great fighter on the women's MMA side through the Invicta house in the last 10 years. And I think we can continue to build that. And in the same way, find some champions that might leave Invicta and, go to PFL or, go to UFC as another big stage for them.
Would it be feasible to do two events on the same night? I've often wondered that, right? Like now with TKO, UFC, and WWE, and you guys have Invicta and TNA Wrestling, is it possible, and maybe logistically it's not, to have like 3 Invicta matches, have like an hour and a half long event, and then just literally in the same building go into an hour long, 2 hour long TNA event? I mean, logistically, that's a lot of space you're taking up, but if wrestling companies could have 3 rings next to each other, why can't we do kind of a octagon and a ring?
Josh, I mean, maybe you've been in my staff meetings because it's exactly what we've been talking about for the last 30 days and how we really enjoyed, and I think the fans enjoyed what TKO and UFC and WWE and PBR did in Kansas City about a month ago now. I mean, amazing mashup of all of the TKO brands in a weekend. And so we're thinking about the same, and how we've even looked at how do we put the ring and the cage on casters? How do we look at how we move them more quickly so we can use the lighting and the infrastructure, the LED screens, all of that in the arena?
A lot of that stuff, so you could just use the entrance ramp, the lights, the lighting for TV, the hard cam.
The overhead lights for TV. And so, we've been looking at exactly that. And we were targeting possibly to do that in Rhode Island, but I think it ended up being a little too fast. And so we are looking at some of the other dates around TNA and Invicta and how we might smash a Friday, Saturday weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend together with both properties.
Not obviously July 20th, Slammiversary, UBS Arena. But I think New York City might be a pretty dope market for something like that. And if it's never been done, why not be the first ones to do it, especially in Market 1? I understand the buildings are not cheap to rent out for multiple days on end, but you're already there. So you have the lighting rigs, everything's rigged up. You might as well just run the show, man. That's just my thought. But what do I know? You've done this longer than I've been doing this. So.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a good idea. And we just got to find the ways to start it and find the right market and the right arena that we can sort of do the prototype. Because like anything, you're going to do it once and then you're going to tweak it and make it better. And then we're going to think about how we bring sponsors in around this weekend or with both properties, with both TNA and Invicta together.
Before we wrap things up, what can we expect from TNA Wrestling for the second half of 2025 and even beyond?
I think look, Slammiversary is going to be our biggest show, and it's going to be a tipping point. It's going to continue to just help us grow. I think you're going to see more wrestlers being signed. I think you're going to see more markets. I think you're going to see us expand in the TV distribution space. And then I think you're going to also see what we're going to do on the digital side that's going to combine, because really, TV is a funny word now. I mean, TV is really in quotes. And so it's really, how do you smash up TV, streaming, digital, social into a package? It's been part of what I've done to be disruptive my whole career. And so I think we're going to continue to do that. We've done it a little bit over these last few weeks in doing some of these live look-ins, even in our tape shows for our digital subscribers. We're going to continue to do that because we like live.
Love that. One more time, Carlos Silva, we appreciate you. TNA Slammiversary, July 20th, UBS Arena.
Yeah, it's going to be
Appreciate you.
exciting. Thank you, Josh.
From the top of the Empire State Building.